Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about a new ban at a British university that's causing quite a stir. Apparently social justice warriors have taken over the University of Manchester because their student union there recently banned clapping. That's right, clapping is now considered problematic there because it supposedly causes anxiety in some people. That, and I'm willing to bet that clapping for one person and not for another would also be considered offensive to them too. I guess we'll see where it goes when we get to the story. This shouldn't be too surprising though, coming from Britain, not these days especially. No, much like Canada, modern Great Britain has too turned into an SJW playground, where they've let progressives and Muslims and minorities and SJWs take over there. All the while also, of course, slamming and attacking white people for our dirty white privilege. Screw us, right? And not only that, but we've also seen other ludicrous problems being brought up by leftists there too. Pretty similar to this new clapping situation. Clapping, which is something that's supposed to signify appreciation and support, has somehow turned into a negative, anxiety-inducing thing by the leftists. And let's not forget, this isn't the first crazy SJW claim to come out of Britain in recent history. They've done all kinds of wacky leftist stuff lately, like putting up that Trump baby balloon a few months back, in light of our president's visit there. Or what about that one time a couple years ago when that Sky News reporter said that air conditioning was sexist?
You know, we just sit there absolutely freezing at our desks trying to type. You can probably tell I've got a cold right now, which I blame all on the AC. And so it's just so actually quite nice to see this research. It's just such a relief to know that there's actually proof that this is happening, that women, do feel the cold more than men, and that the AC in offices is normally regulated more for a male's temperature than a woman's.
Boy, that clip gives me flashbacks, like I was in Nam or something. And I'll bet this troll in the video never even thought about wearing something warmer to work. And she certainly never thought about the people who needed cooler air conditioning in order to be comfortable. It's so much easier and appropriate to add warm clothes, by the way, like adding a sweater or a hat if you're cold, as opposed to taking off clothes when you're warm, which is, of course, not appropriate for work situations. Regardless, the sexist AC story from a few years ago really shows how bad things have gotten in Britain. Women, minorities, and SJWs are running amok there. And it's gotten so bad that in today's story, we're again talking about a school who has banned clapping. And we're going to get into all the details of that story soon, in a minute. But first, let's check out a message from our loyal sponsor who makes this show possible, Virtual Shield. Are you guys aware that recently hackers stole 50 million Facebook users' access tokens during a zero-day flaw? That was a huge data breach which all Facebook users should know about. And fortunately now, there's something you can do to protect your online privacy here too. You can join a trusty VPN service like Virtual Shield. VPNs are virtual private networks, which funnel your internet traffic through Virtual Shield's secure servers, keeping all your data and personal information safe and protected, as it should be. And Virtual Shield is one of the easiest and fastest VPNs to use in the world, ever. It's the best. And their no-log policy protects its users from any data breaches like this recent one at Facebook too. And as a special offer for this month only, Virtual Shield is offering 25% off VPN plans and all premium add-ons including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. That's pretty awesome. And let's not forget about IdentiSafe, their very cool new feature which gives the customer the ability to block off a computer's microphone or camera access, preventing unwanted spies and hackers from seeing your stuff. And with this new 25% off deal, there's never been a better time to join and sign up now. Sign up today at virtualshield.com and tell them No Bullshit sent you. There's links and more information below in this video's description. Thanks for your time, and now back to the show. For more details on this British university banning clapping, let's go ahead and turn to an article from the BBC called University of Manchester Students' Union Bans Clapping, which features a video by this obvious SJW looking chick with multiple facial piercings. Take a look.
So how should you show your approval?
British Sign Language clapping, which visually looks like this. People have more informally heard it referred to as jazz hands, but that is the official British Sign Language version of clapping.
Damn, this clip is only 11 seconds and this Sarah Khan girl still manages to look like a smug douchebag, even rolling her eyes at one point. And I can't believe anyone could seriously present this idea as a respectable adult in 2018, current year. But if it were to come from anyone, a British Muslim feminist looking girl with a nose ring and the same last name as the Muslim mayor of London, well, she would be one of my first guesses. With all that said, let's go ahead and read into the article now and see what's up. A student union has ditched clapping, whooping, and cheering in favor of jazz hands. Reps at the University University of Manchester voted to replace noisy appreciation with the British Sign Language BSL equivalent, a wave of both hands. Union officer Sarah Khan said traditional clapping can cause issues for students with autism, sensory issues, or deafness, but the move was criticized by some who accused students of being pampered. Under the new measures, BSL clapping will be used at student events such as debates, panels, and talks. Student groups and societies will also be encouraged to move away from audible clapping. Yeah, calling these students pampered is an understatement, and this is a big testament to how far this PC culture has really come. It's like safe spaces have taken over all the universities now. Also, they can cater to and coddle to a small, insignificant minority. How many autistic, sensory issue having deaf people actually go to this university anyway? Like 5? And why do they think it's more important to inconvenience and heavily monitor the greater majority of people who are normal and use clapping and enjoy it, as opposed to focusing on the disabled people and just trying to help them avoid and deal with things and fix their issues? This all really sounds like way too much coddling to me. College used to be a place where teenagers could learn to grow up too, and where you learned how to deal with the real world and actual issues. First-time students were just moving out of the house, learning to take care of themselves and to fend for themselves too, but nowadays, millennials are weaker and more fragile than any generation before. They can't handle anything without their safe spaces, and now even clapping can trigger people, and I think that's just plain pathetic. And what's up with calling this new gesture jazz hands anyway? That sounds like they're culturally appropriating the Black American jazz movement, if you ask me. Sure, they got this brown Muslim chick to present this idea in this article and video, but we all know the vast majority of Britain is actually white. Well, it is for now. It won't be in another decade or two at their current rate. Might as well call it Londonistan in a few years, but regardless, seeing a majority white nation and its university champion jazz hands over clapping, well, that's something the SJWs would call racist and cultural appropriation if someone else did it. But as we all know, they have double standards up the yin-yang, and their double standards are gross and in your face too. Because, of course, SJWs have no respect or shame, and they have no actual desire for fairness either. Sure, they pretend to be doing bullshit like this, like raising the air conditioner's temperature in order to be fair to women, but really, for the leftists, what's fair to them is actually unfair to everyone else. And the same goes with this clapping ban as well. Respectful environment. Ms. Khan, the union's liberation and access officer who proposed the motion at a recent meeting, said clapping can discourage some from attending democratic events. So-called jazz hands, she said, encourage an environment of respect. I think a lot of the time, even in parliamentary debates, I've seen that clapping, whooping, talking over each other, loud noises, encourages an atmosphere that is not as respectful as it could be, she said. Ms. Khan said the union was looking for more ways to make its events more inclusive. News of the measure was met with criticism in some quarters, with broadcasters Piers Morgan and Jeremy Vine among those weighing in. Morgan said it was a sign of Britain losing its mind, while Vine posted a picture of soldiers in the trenches during World War I, suggesting they had managed to ignore the difficulties caused by sudden noises 100 years ago. Well, I have to agree with these British commentators at the end here. Their nation is losing its mind, and is quickly becoming one of the worst, most progressive and SJW places in the world. They're in a tight race with Canada to be the most cucked up too, that's for sure. And boy, how far the Western men have fallen here. Like how that post by Vine said, soldiers in the trenches of war sure managed to ignore these sudden loud noises. Back in the day, men were actually manly too, and women knew how to step up and tough things out as well. But nowadays, the millennials and the Generation Z kids are really in for a harsh reality check when they get out of universities like this. What was once a place for teens to learn about the real world and how to deal with it, well, presently, college is doing exactly the opposite. Now colleges pamper and coddle their students and turn them into liberal SJWs who will never be able to function properly in the real world, ever. And that's why we're seeing so many crazies come out of higher education systems these days. And that's also why colleges are doing more harm than good in current year. The National Union of Students, which introduced BSL clapping at its events in 2015, the same year they said air conditioning was sexist, said individual unions acknowledge the needs of all their students and respond to their needs. We should all aspire to improve our public spaces so that all members of society feel comfortable and able to contribute fully. But what if clapping and cheering for an event is what makes you feel comfortable? I don't get why leftists always feel the need to cater to the lowest common denominators. It's like if only one person in your office is allergic to peanut butter, so you just ban all peanut butter from everyone there, everywhere. Sure, that's not the end of the world and there's still plenty of other food options, but is it really fair to limit dozens of other people all based on one other coworker's problem? Because I don't think so. I think it makes much more sense to focus on helping the smaller subgroups with their problems. Punishing and limiting everyone else because of them isn't fair either, and will just make everyone resent them too. Worst of all, I hate the fact that liberals think they're being these great big heroes by doing something like this. It's pretty obvious they're banning clapping here in order to virtue signal and to show how down with the disabled they are. But I'm not buying that. This is a transparent pity grab if you ask me, and the SJWs aren't doing this in order to help out the poor minorities. They're doing it in order to try and look woke and progressive and to boost their own own social standings. So in the end, this is an unnecessary ban done for unnecessary reasons, which are totally not noble or charitable at all. No, the SJWs are doing this to further themselves and their own agendas. Make no mistake. And that's why I say this is bullshit and it needs to stop. What do you guys think? Should universities be banning clapping? What seemingly harmless thing will leftists push to ban next? And do you think Britain is a lost cause at this point? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.